good evening. Thank you all for coming tonight. My name is Xiomara Mayo Ingram, and I'm going to be your coach, helping you with this topic that we have tonight, when death steals from us. And before we start, I want to remind you that this is the time for you to take your favorite hot drink. I got my decaf coffee. You can have coffee or chocolate or tea. You can choose where you want to see this session and simply enjoy it. If by any chance you know that someone that you love would like to see it as well, but they cannot make it for the live session, just remind them that they can catch it up later. They can see the video once we upload it right after the session, like we always do. Remind you that every single week we're here on Thursday at 8 p.m. making sure that you get the support that you need, not only for specific issues, but also sometimes daily issues that we have, sometimes on a specific situation that you're going through. If that is the case, please remember you can always talk to us by chat. You can talk to us by Facebook or Twitter. Send us your opinions, send us your questions. If there's something in particular that you would like me to address in one of the live sessions, go ahead, let me know, and I'll make sure that I include it in the agenda. And also, if by any chance you have a situation that I cannot address in the live session, I will make sure to either reply by email or simply put it in our bulletin. Very soon it's going to be published in our site, or maybe write an article about it. Let me help you. You don't have to go through any of the issues that you're going through all by yourself. We are here for you. This is your virtual platform for you to be able to get an assistance and having a coach when you most need it, 24/7. Remind those that you know that are maybe somewhere far away that they can still hook up with the live session, because it doesn't matter where you are or what time it is, you can always catch up later with the session on the video. As usually, I have my agenda here that you're going to allow me to look at, because I want to make sure that I don't overlook any of the aspects that I want to talk to you about tonight. And you might be wondering why I chose the topic when death steals from us. You might say, Xiomara, I mean, we just come from celebrating Thanksgiving, having a wonderful time planning for Christmas. We're buying presents. Everywhere you look around, what do you see? You see people singing Christmas songs. You see people in the whole Christmas mood. Why to talk about something that really brings some sort of sadness to our minds? Well, I must say that the main reason is because at one point or another we've all been affected by death, either because we lost someone that we love, or because we've been close to someone that lost someone that they love. So somehow we've seen death and it has touched us in a deep way. Also, I will think that planning for the holidays is an amazing, precise time to talk about this and help those that are grieving for loved ones to know how to cope better with their emotions, to know what is it that they're going through, and to help them understand that this is totally normal and how they're going to go feeling better without meaning that they're forgetting the loved ones. I think that's probably the main thing, that sometimes we as human beings try not to move on because we think that maybe moving on or accepting that loss will imply that we are forgetting, or we are not longer loving that person that was so important for us. And this is part of what we're going to see today, what your grieving process looks like, the different stages that you go through that are totally normal, but also some resources on how to cope with your own emotions, and in some cases how to help others that are grieving, how to be there for others that might need you through this difficult time. Now, I use the word stealing because, to me in particular, I think it's very similar to the way that we feel when we lose someone. For instance, when I was looking at the definition of stealing, listen to this one that is really, really, really complete. It says that it's to take another person's property without permission or legal right, and without intending to return it. Without intending to return it. So look at it, these two aspects. Without permission. You feel deprived, you feel that they take something from you and you're left with your hands empty. You feel scared, you feel vulnerable, you feel exposed. You don't understand why this happened to you. You don't like it, and you have to accept it, and you have to learn to live without that thing that they stole from you. And sometimes you're angry, but you're also sad. And even if you replace whatever they stole from you in case of a material possession, still it's not the same. We refer to, oh, before they stole this from me, or before they stole that from me. So it really shows a before and an after. So I really think when we look at that perspective of someone stealing from you, they don't ask for your permission. They just simply take it with no intention to return it to you. And that leaves a spot that nothing can fill it, because we just simply move on and we learn to accept that that happened. I remember being on a trip, and I placed my luggage and my computer and everything on the trunk of the car. And I went into a store. Not a good idea. Definitely not a good idea. But I remember that it was right before catching my plane home, and when I went and opened the trunk to put the bags that I was coming back with, everything was gone. Everything. Our passports, our luggage, everything. The only thing I had was what I had in my pockets. And I remember not only feeling sad, but feeling so angry, feeling so upset, that even months after that, and I still refer to it as the before and after. So it's not just a simple comparison. It's just that I want you to connect with the feeling of being deprived, something that is taken from you without your permission. They didn't even ask you if you wanted to let that thing go. And it's the same thing with death. Death doesn't ask for our permission. We all are born, and we know that eventually we're all gonna die. But even though we know this, we're never ready for that. And that's pretty much the similarity that I see. When someone that we love passes away or die, we feel sad, we feel upset, we feel frustrated, we go through anger, we go through all these different emotions that I could see the similarity and that I wanted to address for you tonight. Now, there are different kinds of deaths, and I think that as I was looking at it and building the topic, I was thinking that depending on the kind of death, we are more impacted, or our grieving process might be more dramatic or traumatic if it's the case. For instance, we have the death of someone who's been sick, someone who's been battling a disease, and we are worried and concerned about their health. We don't want them to die, but we kind of know, we have that awareness that it's a possibility that they could die. So we don't quite get prepared. Although we say we are, we never prepare for losing someone that we love, but in a way it's not a surprise. So we're sad, we grieve, but it's different. We're at peace. We feel that everything was done the way it was supposed to be done. And in a way, we feel that we had an opportunity to do something, like provide them with medical assistance, or assist them, or be there for them, or say our goodbyes. So when someone dies after being sick, it's still a painful process, but it's easier to find acceptance afterwards. Now, when death happens unexpectedly, either by accident or simply of a natural cause, such as a heart disease or a heart attack or something unexpectedly, we tend to grieve in a more dramatic way. Why? Because we were not expecting that to happen. Maybe we had just recently had a conversation with that person. Maybe we went and spent some time with them, and that happens very often that you hear people saying, I was just at his home, or I was just talking to her on the phone, and there's that sense of shock that makes it harder to be accepted, and that also makes it harder when we're grieving that loss. The same thing happens when someone dies tragically. When tragic hits, listen, even if it's away from home, even if it's not happening directly to you, you can feel the pain even of those you don't even know. We've seen it. When we look at the news, when we're watching TV, and we see a tragedy, whatever it happened, at home, in a community, in a different city, in a different country, you see how all people become united with that feeling of loss and feeling sorry and hurting for those that we think of them as someone's mothers or someone's fathers, or this was someone's husband or someone's wife, or this was a mother's son or daughter. We have that empathy. We just feel that loss as if it was our own, even if we don't even know the person. So any tragic death really hits us hard, even though it might not be someone related directly to us. Imagine in the case that it is a relative or someone that we love. That makes it even harder and makes the grieving process a little bit more, sometimes longer. They grieve longer, and sometimes one of the stages really triggers the other in a different way. And we're going to be seeing about the stages a little bit down a little bit later. Now, the other category of death are the ones related to age, and they also have a different impact when we see them happen. For instance, with the elderly, it's the natural cycle of life that older people are going to be passing away. They're going to be dying first. It's just the natural law, right? We all kind of know that that's going to be like that. We get very sad. We wish they will stay forever, but the truth is that we find comfort in the fact that they lived a long life, maybe 90, maybe 100, and every single year after a certain age is a great reason to celebrate because they're still with us. Why? Because since we are little, as we grow older and we go being more mature, we understand that is the natural thing that is going to happen. Now, when it's an adult, and in this group goes also young adults, people, in their midlife and people that are young, it's kind of really shocking because the kind of thoughts that comes to our mind is, oh, he was so full of life. How could this happen to her? She has so many different plans, and we go with that grieving process that that person was not supposed to go yet. And that's how we feel, and it makes it harder on our grieving process because of the age, because we realize this person had a whole life ahead of them, and it saddens us deeply. Now, when we lose a child, and this is a tough one, I tell you that. It doesn't matter the age. It can be a newborn, it can be a little kid, it can be a teenager. But, within those first 18 years of life, when you still consider them your child, that's unbearable. That is something that has no name. That is nothing that can be described with words. It's really, really terrible. It's like a tragedy, and it's not something that we are never prepared for, and parents are not prepared for that. And the truth is that other parents, they feel for those parents because they're going through that, even if they don't know the child. I have two experiences to share with you. I had the very sad situation with a couple of friends of mine. They had a 10-year-old, and there was a horrible accident, and he died. And I remember how affected I was by that death. It was not my own child, and yet I cried and cried as if it was my own, because as a mother and as a friend, I could feel their pain. I can only imagine what they were feeling, but I was feeling my own pain of thinking in my mind, this shouldn't have happened. Okay, he was only 10 years old. So It was a tragic incident, and it affected everybody, even people that didn't even know them. Everybody was touched by such tragedy, because that's what happened when it's a kid. Now, the other situation was that once I was checking my Facebook, my social media, and I saw that there was this family that had lost their kid. I think it was 11-year-old, and he was playing with a neighbor, and there was an accident, and he died. They were playing with, I think it was with a gun, and he got shot and died. And I didn't even know these people, and I found myself following their story, following the messages that they were posting. I mean, I felt for them. I was even praying for them, and I didn't even know them. Why? Because of what I was telling you. When it's a child, it really hits us hard. And there's no name to describe such pain, but we feel for those of you who are watching tonight that I know that have lost a child, some of you, that person that contacted me before, and we want to be there for you and tell you that what you are feeling, it's totally normal, especially now that the holidays are coming. We know how you feel, we know that you're grieving, and it's okay to grieve because it's your process and it's yours. Now, moving with the agenda, I am going to be talking about the grieving process, and I have been reading a lot, and I've seen people that have a lot of experience with the grieving process, and it's just amazing how they have, depending on the research or the specialists, they have defined the grieving process in many different stages or cycles or phases. But the truth is that I have chosen 4 that to me are the ones that are the same ones in any process regardless. Some people can say that there are 8 stages, some people can say that there are 5, but let me tell you this. There are 4 that are going to be in every single grieving process, because what they do is that sometimes one of these 4, they split it and they kind of subcategorize it into more phases or more stages. But the truth is that these 4 stages are the main ones that everybody going through a grieving process goes through. Now, why I said process? Because it's not an event. A process is a series of steps and actions. To me, it's that you go through a series of emotions and feelings. An event is something that happened and it ends, and that's it. When we're talking about a grieving process, when losing someone, we're talking about different steps, different actions, different emotions, different feelings that you're going through over and over, because it doesn't even have a specific order. I'm going to give the order that they tend to appear, but the truth is that it's so unique depending on the person that is going through it, that actually any of the stages can appear first, any of them can appear last. The first one, more common stage, is the denial, the shock. What are the symptoms of this phase? Denial. As the name says it, what do? You deny. This cannot be happening. You refuse to believe this is happening. You go in that sense of shock that you don't want to believe it. You can believe it, but you don't want to believe it. As a matter of fact, some people even disconnect from reality. They act as if nothing is happening. I probably, you have heard when some people say, well, she's not acting accordingly. When it hits her, it's gonna hit her bad. What it usually means is that the person is totally disconnected and they start acting as if nothing is really happening, and then you realize that they are just not accepting that they have just lost that person that they love. They are in complete lack of emotion. You talk to them and they don't even respond to you. They don't get it. Sometimes you talk to them, you say something, and they say, what? Because they're not getting it. They're not connecting with what you're saying. They're expecting that at any moment they're going to wake up from that nightmare. And that denial phase is just refusing to accept. It's like a mechanism of defense not to accept this pain that is causing me what you're telling me that just happened. So that's what it is. It just triggers that mechanism of reaction of, no, this cannot be happening, and you just go on and on and on trying to deny it. Other people, you see them asking over and over how it happened, or talking about it over and over, and someone comes and they're telling them what happened, and then the next person comes and they're telling them what happened, and they go repeating the whole story over and over. And sometimes you wonder, why are they doing that? It's a way for them to actually hear it, because they're not believing it. So it's part of their denial in the middle of this grieving process. I usually have found myself going through that as the first stage that I've gone through. In my case, I have been very familiar with the grieving process because since a very early age, I've lost some people that I loved that were my relatives, and that really affected me deeply. The worst one that I can tell you that I went through was when I lost my father back in 1994. It's been almost 21 years, and I can still tell you how I feel and how I can remember every single thing I felt when my father was presenting some health issues. But as everybody that's got a relative that is sick, you hold on to the idea that it's going to be okay, especially because his situation apparently was not that bad, or so we thought, right? Apparently. So my father died unexpectedly. He was in Puerto Rico, and he was flying back to our country on a Monday, and that Saturday they called my home really early, like probably at 6 a.m. And I remember when I heard the phone ringing that I kind of felt that something was not right. And I started asking, what happened? What? Because I could see that something was going on. But I gotta tell you, I never imagined it could be my father. I would have thought of anybody but my father. So when they told me, I started screaming and saying no. And I went on for probably half of that day saying, no, this is just not happened. So that denial, it's just a way to try to assimilate what's going on, because it's just so bad and it hurts so much that it's totally normal that we want to deny that it's happening. So when you see yourself, even if it's already been a little bit of time that it happened, that you lost your loved one, it's totally normal to feel like that, to feel that simply you cannot accept it. It's just a normal phase of the grieving process. Now, the second stage that I have found, which is the common stage after the denial, is the anger. Oh gosh, we get angry, very angry. We get mad at everything. We want to put the blame on someone. We want to blame someone. If it was due to a medical situation, we want to blame the doctors. We want someone responsible. Some people get angry with God. Some people get angry with life itself. We just get so angry, and we have so much anger inside that we disconnect from others. We hear things that are happening around us and we act as if we don't care. But it's because we are so angry that it's impossible to give love or to feel empathy when you're that angry inside. We disconnect from our feelings. We start doubting our beliefs. We start doubting everything. We have a negative attitude, and we become very pessimist about life. That is all signs of anger. When you don't think you can get any angrier, you do. You feel so angry, and everything just makes you react in an angry way. But it's all part. And as a matter of fact, when I am coaching and assisting people and they express how angry they are, I usually help them look beyond their anger, because you know what's behind anger? Lot of pain. And that is actually the stage number 3. The pain, extreme sadness, feeling helpless, feeling hopeless, feeling overwhelmed, because that's the moment we connect that this person that we love is no longer going to be here. It's no longer part of our lives, and we need to learn to live without this person. And you know what we do? We abandon ourselves to that pain. We just go through that huge intensity of pain, and we stop functioning. We don't want to go to work. We don't want to go to school. We don't want to go hang out with the friends. We don't want to do anything. I mean, nothing help us connect, because we're going through so much pain that it's hard for us to connect with anything. We have complete lack of interest. We break our routines, like our regular life structure. We just break it. We just abandon ourselves to our pain, because that's the moment that we're actually feeling it. That's when it hits us. This is real. This is really happening. This person is gone, and it's not going to come back. And the fourth stage is the acceptance. And hear me out here, because when I say acceptance, some people might say, oh, you're meaning that we are going to overcome it, we're going to get over it. No, you don't get over death. Let me tell you this. You don't. You simply learn to live with the pain of that person not being in your life anymore. That's very different. But you don't simply move on and forget, and then you can say that it doesn't hurt you anymore. I tell you, it's been almost 21 years since my father died, and I still listen to a song. I still I'm watching a show, and something reminds me of him, and I feel a knot in my stomach, and I feel the knot in my throat, and I feel the tears coming to my eyes. It's just that you learn to live with the fact that that person is no longer physically with you, but it's always in your heart, and it's always part of who you are. And that has helped me be able to continue functioning in life. That's what the acceptance stage is about. Start functioning again. Learning to live with the pain that you feel. Learning to live with that empty space that that person is living, and start going back to what you used to do. Going back to the activities that you used to go. Trying to reorganize your life in a way that suits you, and start making the decisions that need to be made, because life goes on. And you have stopped your life in the previous stages of grieving, and now it's the time to start simply accepting life itself, accepting that you are still alive. And this is a wonderful time to think how this loved person would want you to act, and how they want you to live, and that really helps a lot. I'm having a question coming in through the chat. Allow me to answer it. It says, Xiomara, how long does this pain and anger last? Very good question, and it's actually what's next on my agenda, because the denial and the anger and the pain and the acceptance, as I said, it was a process. It's a process that can take up to 6, 8 months, even a year. Particularly, I believe the first year cycle. I call it the first year cycle because it's a cycle that goes around. It's the first time that you're doing everything without your loved one. For instance, imagine the first birthday, that person is not there. His birthday, your birthday without him, or your birthday without her. The first Mother's Day, the first Father's Day. So the first of everything, those first 12 months, they're awful. They're terrible because everything is a trigger that connects you with the fact that that person is not with you. So it's totally normal for a grieving process to go up to 12 months. Now, after those 12 months, after that first year, it's not that you're going to go and start jogging and jumping up and down because you're so happy now. That's not what it means. It just means that you're going to start getting used to it, because now it's not going to be the first one anymore. Now it's going to be the second birthday, but you already went through a first one and you were okay. You start realizing that that person is not there, but you're still okay. And you start moving on. You start getting used to not having that person in the special events, in the special celebrations that you're having. Something really important. That doesn't mean that after the first year, you're not gonna go through the grieving process again. You get better, but let me tell you this. Every time something really, really important happens, it might be a trigger. Let's say that you get married and you have lost your parents before. Then you'll be crying because you miss them and you wish they would be there. Let's say that you have your baby. Let's say that you graduated from college. So this also triggers the grieving process again. Now, watch out, because if after this time you're still feeling that you cannot go to work, that you don't have any energy to go to school, that you don't feel like you can do anything, be careful and seek for professional help, because maybe you are going through a chronic depression. And if it is the case, then you might need professional help. So make sure you get the help you need. Make sure that you go and talk to a professional about it and say, look, my grieving process is being really long to the point that I am not being able to function. So when you do that, you're going to be getting the resources, and they're going to make the evaluations to know if there's some chemical imbalance in your brain. So this is extremely important, because there's also what is called pathologic grieving, and that's some people that they want to continue grieving on and on as a way to get attention, as a way to not get better. So please, if after a year you're feeling that you cannot deal with what you're feeling, seek for professional help. I'm having another question that I am going to answer, and it says, I have a question for you. Is it possible to experience those same steps without a loss? Oh, absolutely. Let me tell you this. We think that this only happens when you have lost someone. But this is the same grieving process that you go through when you're going through a crisis in your marriage, when your child or your son or your daughter is using substances, is an addict, and you're powerless, so you grieve. When someone is in jail, sometimes when things are not the way you wish they were, you have a grieving process. So sometimes you will feel that you're going through all this, and you go and ask yourself, why am I feeling like this if I haven't lost anybody? Well, you're actually losing something. You might not realize what is it that you're losing yet, but you are losing something. You're losing control of something. Something is happening in your life that is just not the way it used to be, and it's causing you pain. And when it's like that, even if the people that you love are healthy and around you, you're still grieving. So the grieving process, as I said before, is very, very unique, very personal. And there are different grieving process that we go through along our life. I mean, throughout our lives, we can grieve for different reasons, but it's still a grieving process. And these will be the stages that you find yourself feeling. So if at this point you haven't lost someone, but this is what you're feeling, it is because you're going through a grieving process. And maybe you need to identify what is causing you pain. What is it that you feel like you're losing? What is exactly that you feel that is changing your life in a way or another that is causing you that much pain? You're probably going through denial, not wanting to see it, being angry all the time, and disconnected from people and situations, and lack of emotions, and then you find yourself feeling pain and you don't even know why. Make a stop, reflect, evaluate the areas of your life, because definitely if you're going through these emotions that I have just described here, you're going through a grieving process. And once you see it, once you understand that's what you're going through, it'll be easier on you to deal with it. Because then you're accepting it, you're embracing it, you know that that's what is going on with you. There's nothing wrong with you. As a human being, this is a total normal thing we experience. So just remember, it is extremely important that you identify what is happening to you, because if not, you're just gonna go feeling those emotions. They'll be overwhelming, they'll be covering you up, and you don't even know what's going on with your life. And the only way to deal with them and move on is by realizing what's happening and being able to identify that. Now, the other thing that I wanted to share with you is that there are certain challenges when we are going through the grieving process. Certain tasks and challenges, I prefer to call them challenges because it's just not easy. The first one is to accept the reality, that the reality is no longer the way it used to be. It will never be. And accepting that, it's hard, it's tough. So it's a challenge that I think everybody going through a grieving process goes through. Also to experience and feel the pain without trying to deny it, without trying to block it, without trying to run away, evade it, because that is something that many people do. And you have to go through the pain. If you are going through a grieving process, you need to experience it so the process gets complete, and then you can continue with your life. If you try to block it, if you try to deny it, you're going to get stuck. That's what's going to happen. And you're going to feel that you cannot move forward, but it's because you're stuck, because you are not feeling and experiencing and dealing with what you have to deal, and therefore you get stuck. The third one is to adapt to a world without the loved one, without having that person, or in this case, or the loved ones, which is the topic that we're having tonight. Understanding that person is not in the world. Looking at the world without that person is really hard. Making decisions. Imagine the cases that some people had been relying on the spouse for making the decisions, and all of a sudden this person is no longer there, or the parents to make the decision, and then they feel lost. They don't know what they are going to decide. So getting back on track and getting back on your feet to make the decisions and assume the situations that you need to face will be a real challenge. And finally, to emotionally relocate your loved one, to understand that it's now going to be your memory, but no longer a physical person next to you. And this is the moment that I want to address for parents and kids watching. And this is extremely important because you parents are responsible to help your kids understand the grieving process. They're going through all this pain, they're going through all these emotions that I have described here. They don't even know what they're feeling. They cannot describe them. They cannot verbalize what is it that they're thinking or feeling. And if they don't know, and if you don't help them, these are the kids that later, since they don't know how to deal with their emotions, they look for ways to block them, especially using alcohol and drugs and using sex, using many other ways to cope with their emotions because they simply don't know how to handle it. So you parents that are grieving the loss of someone, make sure that you take the time to sit down with your kids and go over with them on how normal it is what they're feeling, especially to make them understand that there was nothing they did that caused this loss, that there was nothing they could do to make it be different, and that you understand what they're feeling, because then they're going to feel that they have someone that can actually connect with the way that they're feeling. And to the kids, to the teenagers, to those of you that are watching, I know because there was a father that told me that wanted his kid to see this session because you lost your mother a year ago. I want you to know, don't refuse to accept anybody new in your life, or to like someone or to love someone because you think that if you do, you're not going to be loving your mom anymore or that loved person that you lost. Don't ever think that you're gonna forget. I know that kids tend to have that fear of forgetting. You're not gonna forget. That love that you two share is yours, and it's always going to be in your heart. And it's okay to be open to new situations, to new people, because it doesn't mean that you're no longer loving the person that you lost. It just means that you are learning to love someone new. Okay? You don't need to be afraid of your feelings. It's totally normal what you're feeling, and you are not alone on the way you feel tonight. Think about how that person would want you to be spending your Christmas, remembering the good times that you guys share, and especially knowing that that love you two share, that is still in your heart, and it's always gonna be. Now, as I said before, Each grieving process is unique and personal. And let me tell you this, it should not be rushed. Don't try to rush it. Don't try to put pressure on yourself. Don't be so hard on yourself trying to get out of the way you feel. If you're feeling that way, it's because it is exactly the way you're supposed to be feeling. Just look at your process and acknowledge the fact that it's yours. Sometimes we make comparisons. Sometimes we go like, oh, when someone lost someone, they didn't spend so much time crying. You know what? It is impossible to lose someone without feeling pain. And the way that I deal with pain might be totally different than the way you deal with pain, or the way this person or that person deals with pain. It's just not fair. So just don't let anybody judge your process or tell you how to live your process, because it's unique and it's yours and it's different. It can be totally different from someone else's process. Remember that we move forward and backwards. We might feel much better and spend a couple of weeks that we feel better, and then all of a sudden we go back to feeling bad again or feeling sad again. We used to relate to this as giving 5 steps forward, and then we move 3 steps backwards, and then 2 more forward, and then 1 backward, and that's how it goes. And another important thing that you need to understand tonight is the fact that, as I said, denial, anger, pain, and acceptance. You can go from one to the other, and sometimes you have already accepted, and next thing you know, you're angry again, or next thing you know, you're in denial again. It's okay. It is a process. It just goes moving, and as you go moving with your pain and your emotions, the same thing will happen with your process. Just be aware of this, because some people, what they feel is that the minute that they have gone through the stages, if they go back to another one, they feel, oh, I'm going backwards, I'm really in a bad shape. No, it's totally normal. Just give it some time, okay? Now, remember, if after the first 12 months you still feel that you cannot function, that you cannot reorganize your life, then you might be in need of professional help. Now, I have 2 topics right here: what to do and what not to do when we are assisting someone. Now we've seen how the death of someone we love affects us, but now we're going to see how we can be of assistance for someone that we love, or a friend, a neighbor, someone from the community that is going through through this grieving process of losing someone they love. Okay, what to do? Please be a good listener. It's not the time for you to go talk. It's the time for you to go listen. Let the person express how they feel. Let them talk about their feelings. Let them talk about the person they love. Sometimes when they're doing this, it's a way to process that this person is gone. It's a way to process what they're feeling. It's a way to have acceptance. Let them talk it out. You are there to be that shoulder. You are there to be that good listener. Be a friend. Be patient. Be compassionate. Please reinforce that what they're feeling is totally normal. Don't try to rush them. Don't try to tell them that you have to get over this. I mean, just let it be. Just let it be. Just be there. Reinforce that it's totally normal the way they're feeling, and be present. Some people, it's just amazing how they come the first few days and then they vanished. You don't hear from them. You don't see them anymore. They don't call you. They just vanished. They were there just the first week and then they're gone. People usually feel more assistance after that first week, that first month, when everything's going back to normal and they still don't feel normal. So being there, offering yourself to go help them, assist them with anything that they might need at home, with groceries, with getting them running some errands or something, that might be really, really helpful. It might make a huge difference for them. So just be a friend and just think of the way that you would like others to assist you if you were going through such a painful time in your life. Now, what not to do? Listen, I get really passionate about this because it's just amazing how some people are and the kind of things they tell you. Do not pressure the person to stop crying. Let them cry. It's just amazing how they come and tell you, well, you should stop crying, or you shouldn't cry because, it was God's will. Let them cry. They're sad. Let them bring their emotions out. That's the way they're going to heal. That's the way they're going to get better. So don't tell them not to cry. Don't go telling them, oh, I know what you're feeling when you haven't had that kind of loss. How can I go and tell someone that lost a child, I know how you're feeling, if my children are healthy and happy and I'm enjoying them? Don't do that. You don't need to say that. Just tell them that you are there for them. Or simply tell them nothing. Just sit down with them and let them cry. But let them feel that you're there. Just your presence will be enough, But it's just amazing how some people come and tell you that. Please, do not tell them it was better this way. Think about it. They're losing someone they love, and you're telling them that it was better that way? No one's gonna connect with that. That is very insensitive. Again, if you don't know what to say, just simply don't say anything. Don't even tell them that things will get better. Just tell them that you're there for them and that you'll be praying for them. And just give them your comfort with the way that you can help them. But just don't go saying those dumb things to people, because it's really, really, really annoying, and you just want to slap someone. And I'm telling you this for my own experience when we went through the loss of our father. People would come and said, well, your father didn't want to suffer, so it was better this way, so he didn't have to suffer. Things was going to get worse. And I'm thinking, I got so mad at people. I got so angry because I just felt that they couldn't connect with the way we were grieving. And again, I've learned that sometimes just to be there, just to be compassionate, just to sit down next to that person and hold their hand is more than enough. You don't have to say much, okay? Because there's nothing you can do or say that is going to make the pain they're feeling any lesser. But just be a friend. But just please don't go making those ridiculous comments that are really, really insensitive and make the people feel very angry at you. In case that you didn't notice before, you have the opportunity, in case you did this, not to do it again, please. And another good one, do not give advice to the person to start getting rid or giving away all the belongings of the loved one who just died. They can't. Right now they can't. Give them time. Eventually they will do it. When? When they are ready. But it's not your call. You don't go to their house and start gathering all their stuff to put in bags and give them away. Some people even hold on to having them for just a little bit longer, just to have the clothes hanging or the papers. It's just part of the process. And some people, they'll eventually come up to the fact that they need to do something about all that, but it's just not the right time. Right when they have just lost the person, they are just going through the whole funeral and the afterwards, and just realizing how easy that they're going to live without the loved one near them, and you're there telling them to start giving everything away or donate everything to the homeless or something like that. Just give them time, okay? They'll do this when it's time. And especially with kids, sometimes kids want to keep something from grandma or grandpa or my mom or my dad that I lost, just to feel that, just to have that sense of feeling that the person's still there. It's okay. It's not such a big deal. Eventually they'll give it away. But sometimes these are just simple things that we as humans need to do in order to deal with our process of acceptance that that person that we love is no longer with us. So my recommendations, If you're going through a grieving process yourself, and this is in the case of the people that have lost someone, and in the case of those who are going through a grieving process without a loss, if you're feeling that way, do not make any important decision while you're in that process. You are not thinking clearly. You're affected by the pain, and your emotions are too overwhelming for you to be able to make the best decision possible. So just put it in hold and deal with it later. Or if you think you might need to make a decision that cannot wait, seek for people that you really trust and assist yourself with some professional help. That might help to clear your mind, to help you on making the important decision that you have to make in the best possible way for you. Do not nurture any hopeless thought of any kind and any absolutisms. Don't go feeding any negative feelings about yourself, about life, about the way things are. That's not healthy. That's not healthy, and it's not going to help. It's just going to make you feel as if you're falling into a into a black hole. It's just like you don't see the light at the end of the tunnel. When you start feeding these thoughts, you just go feeling worse and worse and worse, and your emotions become very toxic, and that's not healthy, and that's very dangerous. In that same level, I want to tell you that if at any moment you've had thoughts of hurting yourself, harming yourself or others, please talk to someone. Go to someone that you feel you can talk to and tell them how you're feeling. Maybe it can be the pastor, maybe a preacher, maybe a priest, maybe someone from your church, maybe a neighbor, maybe a good friend, but talk to them. Let them know how you're feeling, because you might need professional help. Let people help you. You are very, very important, and all that you're going through, it's going to pass. You're going to be okay. You're going to feel better eventually, but just give yourself the opportunity to seek for that help you need in order to cope with those thoughts. I'm having another question here that says, when has it been long enough to remove the things the person used to have? It seems unhealthy to maintain a bedroom for years. Well, as much as for years, yeah, but it might just be something that you do bit by bit. Sometimes people feel that they have to do it all of a sudden, and sometimes people have to transition. Now, some people might have a more difficult time to move on, and sometimes they hold on to keeping the bedroom the way it is because it's just a way for them to hold on to that. As I said before, after the first year and a half as maximum, you need to start going back into your regular life, okay? And these things, if you realize that are stopping you because you are acting as if this person is still there, then you are still in the denial phase, and maybe you might need someone to coach you and help you through it, to help you go through the stages in a more healthy way. Again, it's I don't like being judgmental about it, because as I said before, each process is so unique that it is important for the person to go through the stages. But if you are in the denial phase and you don't want to accept that this is happening, it's really going to hit you bad. It's going to affect all the areas of your life in a way that by the time you realize, it's going to be in years and you're not living your life, and that is not healthy. So don't go to the other extreme, okay? So yes, after the first 15 months, I would say that it's healthy to start packing the things, even if you just pack them first, okay? And it might take you 3 more months to say, hey, I want to donate some bags that I have. Maybe you only donate half of the bags, but you need to start doing bit by bit. So you push your process. You don't rush it, but you push it towards the next phase. And especially because you need to reorganize your life. It's just not fair to yourself. And if you have people surrounding you, like your parents or your kids, it's just not healthy for them either. So it's not again that you're going to be happily running and jumping up and down or feeling that you're no longer grieving, but you're going to find ways to cope with the pain that you're feeling in a more healthy way by just integrating yourself to your regular life and doing what you need to do, even if it's bit by bit. If you still have that bedroom that has been for years, maybe it's time to start considering redecorating. Maybe you don't want to redecorate yet, but you want to change all the furniture. Or maybe you just want to change the color, but just start doing a little bit at a time in order to help you accept that that is no longer the way it used to be. Now, my final considerations, because we're soon going to be closing this session, and if you have another question, just feel free to do it in the last 5 minutes. But I really want to be able to tell you before I finish tonight, all of you that are live here with me, that there's something that death can steal from us. And it's the love that we have shared with that person that is no longer with us. If you have lost someone you love, just remember, death took that person away from you, but the love that you two share will be everlasting, will be forever in your heart, and it's something that belongs to you. No one and nothing can deprive you from that. That love had an impact in your life, and whatever you do from now on, it'll be a legacy of that love that you have felt. So just remember, death might have taken that person away from you, but it can never steal the love that you two share. And my final other consideration is that even though the memories that you share are based on experiences, they're real. I have a whole wall full of pictures with happy moments, because I realized after losing some of the people that I loved that I want to hold on to those great memories. I want to be able to look at them and remember exactly how I felt when we were sharing that moment, because the memories are yours, and that's something also that death cannot take away from you. What you two shared, that bond, the experiences, the moments, the laughter, the silliness. When I get together with my brothers, I tell you, and the people that follow me, they know, we spend hours and hours laughing at the things that my father used to do. We talk about it, and I can tell you that we might be with teary eyes, but we are so full of his memories, and it's just a great way to celebrate life. And we try to see what we're doing today as a reason for him to be to have felt proud of us. And it has helped me. It has helped me to imagine the kind of life that he wanted for me, and to remember that everything that I do, in a way, he's been part of my life, and he's part of who I am. And the same thing, that person that you lost is always going to be part of who you are, and everything you do, somehow that person is there present. Maybe you're going to be celebrating the holidays without that person around you, but I tell you, they're still part of that celebration. And I know that you might be sad, but just keep moving. Sometimes it takes just to put one foot in front of the other. Sometimes we don't even want to do it. Sometimes we don't even want to have to dress up and sit down and have dinner with the rest of the family. But you know what? Sometimes that's all it needs for us to feel a little bit better. And when you realize that feeling better doesn't mean that you no longer love them, that you no longer miss them, or that you're going to forget them, no, that's not what it means. So it's okay to feel better, because still I can tell you that eventually you'll have your high moments and your low moments. Sometimes you'll feel very happy, and at other times you'll miss them terribly and you'll feel sad. And it's okay, because it's just impossible to lose someone you love and not to grieve and not to feel the pain you feel inside. That pain will also be part of your life, but you simply learn to live with it. Well, my friends, I guess this is all for tonight. I want to thank you again, because You've been there, you've been asking your questions. This is your platform. This is for you. Help other people by referring them to Emotional Cafe. We want to be there to assist you. You don't have to go through whatever you're going through alone. We are here to answer your questions, to help you cope with those everyday issues that we all deal with. And especially, we are here to let you know that there's nothing wrong with you, because we've been through it and we know how to help you. So again, thanks for the opportunity. My name is Xiomara Mayo Ingram. I will continue enjoying my decaf coffee, and I hope to see you Thursday next week at 8 o'clock as every Thursday. Send me your emails, send me your opinions, give us suggestions on how to improve, because this is for you. And thank you. Someone saying thank you for answering my questions this session. It was really helpful. Thank you for being there. And thank you for asking questions that I know that other people are thankful for, because it really expresses exactly what they wanted to know. Thank you and have a great night.